This video introduces you to the Planning Circle Exercise, which is a tool to help you with the first step in personal planning, identifying your personal supporters. This particular video will see Kevin, who has suffered a brain injury, and his family using the Planning Circle Exercise as they learn about making and registering a representation agreement with Section 7 standard powers. This video is brought to you by the Nidus Personal Planning Resource Center and Registry. Nidus is a non-profit charitable organization. Nidus promotes alternatives to adult guardianship. Nidus provides education and facilitation with representation agreements and other personal planning tools in British Columbia. Nidus does not give legal advice. Nidus operates a centralized registry for planning documents in partnership with the Law Society of British Columbia. The Nidus website is www.nidus.ca. Please note that the photos used in this video are of models. The examples and situations described in the video are fictional and have no connection to the models or their personal lives. Kevin was recently in a car accident. When he regained consciousness, it was clear that he had a brain injury. However, no one is certain about the long-term effects. But Kevin needs help right now. For example, with healthcare decisions, applying for disability benefits, talking with his employer and landlord, arranging rehabilitation services. There is also an insurance claim with the Insurance Corporation of British Columbia. The Insurance Corporation of British Columbia has told Kevin's family that Kevin must understand the nature and effect of the settlement in order to sign any claim. Kevin's parents are very supportive and they want to help him, but they do not have legal authority to help him with the Insurance Corporation or ICBC claim or apply for disability benefits. The reason is Kevin is over 19 years old. In British Columbia, parental rights end when you turn 19. You are considered an adult under the law, and no one, not even a spouse, has the automatic right to manage your affairs. A lawyer suggested that Kevin's parents apply for committeeship, adult guardianship, over Kevin. A social worker at the hospital told Kevin's parents about representation agreements, which are an alternative to adult guardianship. What is committeeship? Committeeship is the term used in British Columbia to refer to adult guardianship. There are two ways that committeeship can happen. The first is when someone, usually a family member, applies to the Supreme Court to be appointed someone's committee. The other way is that the public guardian and trustee, a state official, can become the committee of the adult's finances and legal affairs through the process of a medical certificate of incapability. What are the effects of committeeship? If Kevin's parents or the public guardian and trustee becomes Kevin's committee or guardian, the effect is that Kevin loses his civil or citizenship rights. Legally, he becomes a non-person. This means Kevin loses his decision-making rights. Someone else takes over those rights. And Kevin could have a committee or guardian in charge of his affairs for the rest of his life, because committeeship is difficult to reverse. What is a representation agreement? In the late 1980s, a grassroots community movement in British Columbia reformed adult guardianship law with the intent of ensuring committeeship, adult guardianship, would be the last resort. A community government partnership created a new law called the Representation Agreement Act as an alternative to committeeship. Under the Representation Agreement Act, a representation agreement is a legal document. It provides the adult with support as needed without taking away his or her rights. It is an agreement between an adult and his or her personal supporters. It gives legal authority to personal supporters to help the adult make decisions and manage his or her own affairs, and if necessary, to make decisions on the adult's behalf. Who may make a representation agreement? You must be 19 years or older to make a representation agreement. The Representation Agreement Act says that the way an adult communicates is not a factor as to whether an adult may make a representation agreement. There is no specific test of mental competency to make a representation agreement with Section 7 standard powers. Capability depends on many factors, especially the individual and his or her situation. The Representation Agreement Act states that the adult may make a representation agreement with Section 7 standard powers even if he or she cannot manage his or her own affairs or make decisions independently. What areas of authority can be covered under a representation agreement with Section 7 standard powers? Minor and major health care is one area of authority, and this would include helping Kevin with decisions about tests, medications, or surgery, because the doctor has to get consent before providing treatments. Personal care covers things such as where you live and with whom, diet, exercise, and for Kevin, arranging rehabilitation services. Routine management of financial affairs is another area of authority. Kevin could get help applying for disability benefits and any other entitlements through his employment, for example. It can help him with his banking, redirecting his mail, dealing with the Canada Revenue Agency. And under legal affairs, this would involve dealing with the ICBC insurance claim, which might mean hiring a lawyer to help with that claim. This is all about Kevin, so that's where we should start, and that's where the planning circle exercise comes in. Kevin is at the center of this story and this exercise. And we think about the areas of authority when we think about what kinds of things does Kevin need help with. And at the moment, he needs help with all areas of authority: minor or major health care, personal care, financial affairs, and legal affairs. Kevin's brain injury has affected his communication and his short-term memory. No one knows yet if this is going to be lasting or not. Kevin's family, friends, and the hospital staff have been trying to find a way to communicate with Kevin. He is now communicating about things such as the food he likes by squeezing their hands or blinking his eyes. He can let staff know when he is in pain. Kevin's family and friends are using this same way to talk with Kevin about the representation agreement and to find out who Kevin wants to have involved in his representation agreement. Kevin's family brought up a large version of the planning circle exercise to the hospital and taped it on the wall in Kevin's room. They also brought up photos of Kevin's family and friends, and they talked with Kevin about who was in his circle of support and who he wanted to help him. They would go through the photos and Kevin would blink his eyes or squeeze their hands. The hospital staff discussed it with Kevin too. He made motions for the nurses to put up their pictures on the circle. They explained to Kevin that the circle of support was for when he left the hospital as well as now. But everyone had a lot of fun talking with Kevin about the things that he liked and wanted to do when he gets out. It was also encouraging for Kevin's family. Through discussion, Kevin's circle of support took shape. His mom and dad were on the circle closest to him, and his grandfather and his cousin Lily. These would be the people who would be part of the representation agreement. Of course, there were many others who were also supporting Kevin in his rehabilitation. After you've identified your personal supporters, the people you trust and who know you best, the next step is to think about the roles that you want to assign to the personal supporters. The Representation Agreement Act describes 3 roles that can be assigned to your personal supporters. The representative is the person who helps you make decisions and manage your affairs, and if necessary, they may act on your behalf. The alternate representative is a backup in case something happens to your representative. And the monitor is a safeguard for you and an extra support in the agreement to make sure everything is working. These are the 3 roles that you can assign to your personal supporters. Kevin and his personal supporters are going to find out more about representation agreements. They will need to gather information on the 4 areas of authority under Section 7 Standard Powers. And they need to know more about the roles and duties that can be assigned to personal supporters named in a representation agreement. There are many things to think about, discuss, and decide before Kevin makes and registers his representation agreement. Mapping out his circle of support is a first step. You can download a copy of the Planning Circle Exercise from the Nidus website and map out your own circle of support. The information on the website shares different examples of ways that people have used this exercise to start the process of making and registering a representation agreement. Of course, the Planning Circle Exercise is not part of the legal requirements for making a representation agreement. It is a practical tool and may be useful to you. We hope you'll visit the Nidus website to find out more information. The website is www.nidus.ca. You will find other videos on the website about aspects of representation agreements. You can read fact sheets. You will find stories about people who have made and used representation agreements and other resources. For your copy of the Planning Circle Exercise, go to the Nidus website and under the Self-Help section, look for Tools, and you can download your copy of the Planning Circle Exercise. We also encourage you to sign up for the Nidus newsletter. This way you can keep up to date about new resources and learn from other people's experiences. You can also read about the Nidus Self-Help course on the website. Again, under the Self-Help section, if you look for RA7 course, you can find out how Nidus can help you make and register a representation agreement with Section 7 Standard Powers. Nidus also operates a registry, and after people have completed their representation agreement, they can register it with the Nidus registry. Nidus also registers revocations and resignations. That way, everything is kept up to date, and you will have the support and the safety that you need. This video is one of the resources produced through our project on representation agreements as a legal tool for supported decision-making for people with brain injury. We are very grateful to the Rick Hansen Foundation for funding this project. And thank you to our program partner, the Fraser Valley Brain Injury Association. Thank you for watching this video, and please visit us at www.nidus.ca.